Awesome. Good morning, folks. Thanks for coming back today. I appreciate it. Today, we are moving on a little bit. We did a bit of painting yesterday and turned out fairly well. I still need to apply a second coat. I haven't done that yet. I need to do a bit of sanding. I just wanted to make sure that paint was nice and dry before I did that. Since you guys have seen me paint already and there's no need to watch me paint some more, we're going to do a bit of staining today. We're going to talk about that. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to stain the bottom step of that learning tower. And we're going to do that using this product. This is a Minwax gel stain. I like it. It's a little thicker. It's easy to apply. And it gives you a fairly decent and consistent result. This is firm. The stuff is, like it says, a gel. You need to pick it out of there and rub it onto the material. And you let it sit for a few minutes, and then you rub it off. But just like with the paint yesterday, we're going to talk about directions on this material. And nice thing again, directions are provided on the side. So we're going to go over that quickly. And we're just going to take note of anything on here that we need to take precautions against. So we're going to read this, and we're going to go to the English side because I can't read French. Well, I can read French, I just don't understand it as well as I can read it. All right, so on the English side here, it says apply a liberal amount evenly with brush or a rag. Wait 3 minutes and use a cleaning rag. Wipe with the grain to remove the excess. So, quick breakdown, it says get a bunch of it on this, put it on here, rub it all over, let it sit 3 minutes. And then it says take a clean rag, like that, and wipe with the grain. So the grain is along the lines of the material. Wipe with the grain and remove the excess. So that's pretty simple. So let's see what the next step is. Number 2, it says if more color development, so if we want it darker, let's see, if more color development is desired, apply another coat after 12 hours. So this would have to sit for a day, and then tomorrow I'd be able to put another coat on it. Number 3, it says after 24 hours, apply a protective top coat. For exterior use, we recommend Minwax, Helsman, Spar-urethane, fast drying polyurethane, or polyacrylic protective finish. All right, so we're not going to send this outside, so we don't have to go with a heavy duty stain, but it does recommend that this has a stain on the top of it afterwards, or a sealer. So what I'm going to do is once this is stained, I'm going to find a finish, either a poly-based finish or something like that, and we're going to put a finished coat on top of this. And that's pretty much what it says here. It says, it's got some other warnings we're going to read though, and this talks about what happens if you get some of this on your skin or your eyes or something like that. So always good to know because accidents can happen. We are pretty safe, but accidents can happen. So it says, do not breathe the fumes. Well, actually first it says contents harmful, may irritate eyes, may irritate skin, danger of combustion. So what we'll do is we'll put on some safety glasses because these, they're not safety glasses. This is may irritate skin. So right here, I have a box of latex gloves or nitrile gloves. And danger of combustion. Well, nice thing is I don't have anyone welding in here right now, so this is a nice and safe space to do this. Can paint actually catch fire? Well, paint, yes, it probably could. There are a lot of paints that are heavy industrial paints and they have a lot of chemicals in them. And they're two parts. They require a catalyst to activate the base. So when you do that, sometimes exothermic reactions creates heat, releases gases, and then you could have a fire from that if there was a source of ignition to light those fumes on fire. So yes, paint could catch fire. Stuff like this could catch fire. What I was always warned about with this stuff is spontaneous combustion. So you got a rag covered in all this stuff, right? You throw it in the garbage bin, then you got a bunch of other rags on top. Well, I was in school, we were always told that these things could generate heat and spontaneously combust. That's why we would put them in that red metal garbage can that I have. So I've shown you guys that one before, but I have a fireproof garbage can for oily, dirty, greasy rags that we get rid of. So that's how we mitigate that problem. With this, it also cautions against breathing fumes. It says, do not breathe the fumes, keep away from flames or sparks. It says, do not swallow. Please don't put this stuff in your mouth. Do not get in eyes or on skin or clothing. Okay, so we got the gloves. I got long sleeves on. Skin's not going to be exposed. It says, keep out of reach of children. I'm looking at you guys. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are awesome. Wear gloves, goggles, or respiratory protection. Use only in a well-ventilated area, which this is. Materials such as rags used with this product may begin to burn by themselves after use. Ooh. Put rags in water or lay flat to dry, then discard. First aid treatment. Contains mineral spirits. If swallowed, call a poison control center or doctor immediately. Do not induce vomiting. If an eye is rinsed with water for 15 minutes, we have our eye wash station here. So if for some reason this splashes my eyes, I can go wash my face out for 15 minutes with that eye wash station. If on skin, rinse well with water. If on clothes, remove clothes. If breathed in, move person to fresh air. So a lot of general safety stuff. Don't eat it. Don't rub it in your eyes. Things like that, right? Yeah, definitely. We're going to put the rags in the fireproof can. That's how we dispose of things here, and it gets taken away at a later date. So I'm just going to take a watch off for this because I don't want to get it dirty. And then what I'm going to do is this. I blew it off earlier because I didn't feel like dragging the hose out. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab a screwdriver. We're going to open this can up and we're going to start applying this material. So I've got that screwdriver here. When doing this, it sounds silly, I always hold the can low and pry away from me. I've seen people hold it up top and do this and slip and stick that screwdriver in their hand. Just, yeah, don't put your parts in the way. I always treat this stuff like a kitchen knife. I make sure all of my extremities are out of the way. So this can here is awesome. It's nice and thick. This is exactly what I want in a gel stain. It's good. It's got nice color on it. I'm just mixing it up to make sure that it's not separated in any way. Kind of like how I did with the paint yesterday. I mixed it back up. Doing the same with this. So what I'm going to do, safety first. I'm going to go get some safety glasses. And I got some gloves here that I'm going to put on. Okay, so I got the safety glasses, I got the gloves. I forgot one thing though. One thing I want to do is just like yesterday, I want to take a few small nails and I want to put them in the bottom of this. So this can sit up off the table, air can go all the way around it and it can dry nice and even. So we're going to do that real quick. I've got these two larger pads here. So I'm going to put 2 nails in each one and this is going to sit up on those nails. All right, so that is that. Got 2 nails there, 2 nails there, and this is going to keep it up off the table. Air is going to flow all around. It's going to dry nice and even. Beautiful. So let's put them gloves on. I always like working with stain because this stuff, you get such an instantaneous change in the color. It's kind of really neat and pretty satisfying overall. I like doing this stuff. But this stuff is pretty gross on the skin, so that's why I always wear gloves. I made the mistake once of doing this without gloves, and hands smelled funny and they were kind of sticky and almost oily. Wasn't cool. So I've got my wiping rag here. This is just a small one. This is what I'm going to wipe all the material on with. I've got a clean buffing rag that we're going to take all the material off with later. So I'm just wiping off the screwdriver that I use to mix things up. You see I've got a nice healthy amount on here. And we are going to start applying the material. So this stuff goes on pretty thick and pretty quick. So we're going to start laying this down. Looks like we're going to need a whole bunch of it. So we're just going to start dipping this. So we're going to start rubbing this on everywhere. Get into all the cracks and the crevices. Get all the pieces. And just start having some fun with this stuff. Dip a little more on here and start working all of this stuff in. So we're even going to do this stuff here. Now this is the underside, and I started on the underside first just so I can kind of see how the stuff behaves and how it works. So if I make any mistakes on this piece, it's going to be on the underside, and it's not going to be the biggest of deals. No one's really going to see the underside of the step. The step's only 6 inches off the ground, not even. So this is why I work on the bottom first, because it allows me that opportunity to kind of test before I work on something that everyone's going to see and maybe mess it up. I don't want that. We put a lot of good work into our projects, so we want to have a good result when we're staining them. So we're going to dip this a little more. It's done. So you can see this goes on pretty quick. I got a whole bunch on here already. We're gonna put a bunch on here. Make sure we got it everywhere. All right, this is looking like it's all on here. So what I'm gonna do, and it says to let sit for 3 minutes, but a lot of this looks almost dry already. Oh, I won't say dry, but like it's set in, I guess, is the proper way to describe this. Now, some people choose to stain everything, put the 4 nails in after, and then flip it. I did it first. You guys can do it in whatever order that you guys choose when you do something like this. All right, so I'm gonna bring this up near the camera here. And you can see already, I'm just holding it by some nails, is that's taken on a lot of that stain already. So it's probably been about 3 minutes since I started the first bit. So I'm actually gonna start wiping that stain off with that dry rag, and we're gonna see how it looks. Now this is looking awesome. This is so quick. You got to be quick with this stuff by the looks of it here, because it's already set in quite nice. Looks good. I'm quite pleased with this. This is fun stuff to work with. So that's the underside, just like that in like 4 minutes. And it's got a nice stain to it. I'm gonna see if I can let Demetrio in here. Awesome, he's in now. Yeah, so right there, it's got a nice bit of stain on it. It's a little hard to see in this light, but when I do the top side, so I'm gonna do the top side next, and I'm gonna do all the edges. This is where it'll really shine. You guys will get to see how it looks there. So we're gonna do that right now, because this stuff is quick. Things are happening fast. So we're gonna go around and do the edges first. I wanna make sure those all get done nicely. So I'll do all the tough spots, and then I'll move to the easier spots after. Save the easiest and best for last, is how I like to do it. Get the backside here, make sure that gets all done. That's there, a little bit more. Put on this edge here, this edge there, make sure everything gets covered. All right, so since we got those edges done, we're gonna start on the big surface. And sometimes you got to work it a little bit extra because there are knots and little kind of dips and depressions in the wood. So you want to get it down in all those little depressions. Especially when there's gaps between the boards. You don't want it to look like it's been stained. You want it to look weathered. So I really work it down into all the grooves and make sure that everything is covered nice and evenly. All right, there's a bit more on the back side here to do. And we're looking great. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly check all my edges. I'm gonna let this dry for a minute. Because I'm kind of got a 3-minute counter going on in my head that says let it sit for 3 minutes. But usually by the time you get back to the first stuff you did, it's already been 3 minutes plus. So that usually you can just kind of go right back to where you started and start working that again. So I'm really forcing this down between the steps to make sure I get in the grooves. And it's been probably those 3 minutes that I need. So I'm gonna start taking my clean rag. Well, they call it the clean rag. It's the one to wipe off the excess stain with. So you'll start rubbing the sucker down, top to bottom, get all the edges. Really make sure I get this. And one thing we can't forget about is these edges. We got to get all the excess off of the edges. Now it says rub with the grain, but when you get to these edges, it's kind of hard. So just get it where you can, get all the excess off however you can. And try not to get this stuff on your skin because it will stain you. You're gonna have a nice looking fake tan if you get a bunch of this on you. Wow, this stuff goes on fast. So I got a couple dark spots. I'm just going to work them a little heavier. See if I can get some extra stuff off. But overall, this is looking pretty darn nice. Wow. This was quick. So yeah, when you guys are using gel stain, you got to be prepared to work, because I guess can't probably see, but I'm sweating already. Maybe it's just because I'm out of shape. Who knows? But there we go. We got that nice looking wood grain bottom all the way to top. Backside is done as well. All the edges, corners, just like that in like 5 minutes. It's ridiculous how fast this stuff goes on. And it looks good too if you like that kind of weathered look, because it's not consistent. You've got nice dark spots and light spots. Gives it that kind of really nice finish. This is going to go really, really nicely against the white frame. So it's going to be a nice contrast. We're going to have a brilliant white frame and this nice kind of stained bits here. This is it's going to be nice. We wouldn't have been able to do this if it was still attached. So that's why I took it off, because we can stain this, and then we will definitely assemble it back together once everything is dry and painted. But yeah, that's it. You guys have seen the lesson for today. So that's a quick lesson on how to stain. So things like these afterwards, we're going to set this to dry. And I'm just going to leave it right here. So here's a pro tip for you guys. When you got dirty hands, taking your gloves off, I pinch on the wrist right here. I push under with those fingers. That one comes off, and then I'm still holding this glove in this hand. I roll them both inside each other, and then I can get rid of them, and there's no stain on the outside of those gloves at all. I've done this a few times with these, so what I hate is when you take these off and you have, what do you call it? A bunch of stain on them. Stain can get on things, so I always turn them inside out as I take them off, and then straight to the trash. So that's it for today, guys. Nice and short one. So what we're going to do is going to call it quits. How much is stain? One of these. This will do a fair amount. This is only like 10 bucks. So if you don't need to spend any other money, you can use dish gloves. If you got dish gloves at home, like those bigger ones for doing dishes, you can wear those. If you have some old t-shirts and you need some rags, you can cut up those old t-shirts, turn those into rags, and you have everything you need. So the cost with this is going to be the what do you call it? The stain, but the rest can be done fairly cheap. And if you're staining something at home, you can even come talk to me. And if you need a couple gloves, I'll be like, oh, hey, here's a couple gloves. Help you out that way. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for today. Short and sweet. No quiz today, but go back, start taking care of that stuff that's missing, okay? I want you guys in the booth when you get here. We got 8 days in the booth, which is awesome because we got a bunch of welding to do. And it's going to be a fun time. So thank you much, everyone. Drop your names in the chat. And then, yeah, you guys can head out once you've done that. Cool.
Bye, sir. See you tomorrow.
See ya. Have a great day.
You too, sir.
When is the mass production assigned?
Awesome. Let's get some attendance done and back to work. So the color of stain I've used is called coffee. Against that white frame, it's gonna look nice. It's gonna be,
your thingy, right?
yeah. So it's gonna be, it's like darker than this, but against that brilliant white frame, it's gonna be a cool contrast. No, I've got it. I've already stained one piece this morning. That gel stain, it actually goes on pretty evenly. I've used early versions of it where if it sat at all, it would just instantly stain that spot. But now it covers really nicely. I don't know if it's been reformulated or what, but it doesn't just immediately soak in and stain that single spot because it went on nice. Obviously with the open grains and stuff, it picks it up differently and scratches show up a little bit differently, but that's what I want. I want to have that look to it. But against that super white frame is gonna be nice. So.